let's go on to Rick. Rick, you are a he and a him, and you're from Canada, and I remember you. And Rick says, and this is what the call screener has said, I think there are biblical prophecies that have been fulfilled and prophecies that are likely to be fulfilled. That's the ticket. That's what we're looking for, Rick. You know me. Do you know Secular Rarity? Have you met Secular Rarity before?
I don't know if we've.
Yeah, I spoke with him about evolution in the Bible. The water brings forth life. Remember me?
Yeah, I do remember that now, Rick. Now that you mention it, yeah.
Water is life. Well, Rick, give us a biblical prophecy.
Yeah.
Let's think about this together.
So I think, I mean, if you look at all the prophecies about Jesus, right, there's hundreds of them that they say are fulfilled, right? But I think, obviously, you're going to argue, I've heard you guys argue that they're self-fulfilling prophecies, right? But you have to at least acknowledge that if those prophecies are being fulfilled by people just writing a book down, like you guys assume, then they've got to be pretty intelligent people, right? But what's even more intelligent than that? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, just I mean, I appreciate the broad overview, but I don't think Johnny or I really need it. Just give us any one particular prophecy about Jesus, and we can just try and work through it and decide whether or not it seems to actually be a prophecy.
Yeah, and Rick, Rick, real quick. Something that I remember from our last call is that you got a high energy level, and I love it. Okay, but we're gonna take our time with you, and you've stumbled upon the secret of Talk Heathen. You can cover a small amount of material, and then we can dig deep, and then you can call back, and we're gonna take your call. So let's stay focused, because this is juicy stuff. I want to hear it. Okay, so slow down. We're all gonna slow down. We're all gonna listen, and give us your best biblical prophecy, your favorite one that's airtight. There could be no other explanation for whatever satisfies the prophecy than sweet Jesus, Prince of Peace, being born, or whatever it is. Go ahead. What do you got?
Okay. So that's the thing about prophecies, right? One solid thing to take a prophecy and say it's solid proof, but it's a whole bunch of prophecies put together, which makes it solid proof. But like you said, right? So a virgin gives birth. If you look in Psalms where Jesus quotes Psalms, I think it's 23, where he says, my God, why have you forsaken me? It goes on to describe his entire crucifixion up into his last words, it is finished, right? So these prophecies were fulfilled by Jesus. A virgin gave birth to Jesus. Isaiah 42 says the Lord shall come forth as a man.
Oh, hang on,
right?
hang on, Rick.
You're going fast.
Rick.
Slow down.
Yeah. We're moving on. Let's stop at the first one. My God, why have you forsaken me? It's been a minute since I read that verse. Does it basically say something along the lines of a virgin will give birth to a man that will be the Son of God who will be crucified, and then reference this verse?
Well, it's predicting a Messiah, right? So it's saying that's not Psalm.
What does it say?
But
what is the prophecy that it
give me the line. What is the
Yeah.
actual line? I'm gonna look it up.
Well, I don't know the line off my. I don't know. Yeah, look it up. So it says a virgin will give birth, and what it's predicting is the Messiah, right?
Do you remember the chapter and verse?
Give me a.
I don't even remember the book.
You got another one? Do you have another one that you remember the?
Let's go to the next one that you remember the verse.
Your second favorite one. Yeah, I need a verse. I need a verse.
Well, go to if you guys want to read it, go to Psalms. I think it's 23. I don't want it to hang up on you here when I go on Google, but give me go to Psalms. Psalms 23. Or type in Google,
I'm there.
My God, Psalms. You got it?
Psalms. We're talking about PSALM. Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd. Okay. I shall not want. That one?
No. Hold on.
All right. Why don't you mute that?
I'm in my car. What I called?
Yeah. Close that door. Close that door.
Close that door.
I don't want anyone driving by and taking your door off. I've seen it in too many action movies. All right.
Do you know, Rick? Do you have another verse offhand that you know?
Psalm 22.
Psalm 22. It's my God.
Okay, hang on. Psalm 20, PSALM.
Let me read this to you. This is, I think it's the NIV is what pulled up first for me just online. But my God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from saving me? So far from the words of my groaning. "Oh my God, I cry out by day, but you do not answer by night,
Mhm.
and am not silent." Is that the verse you're talking about?
You got to
The
close
whole
that
thing is,
door.
right? Because
That
Jesus spent the night prior in the Garden of Gethsemane praying to God, right? That he didn't want to do it, right? So if you
Okay,
go on, it talks about the
hang on,
massive
Rick.
lots for his clothing.
Rick, hang on just a second. One, there is a beeping that I think is both searing into my brain and Johnny's brain,
yeah,
if not all the people listening. I don't know what it is, but can you fix that?
yeah,
The next thing is I just want to make sure that this verse that Johnny and I have both pulled up is the verse you're talking about. This one that I just read, because if so, I have some
yeah.
comments.
Okay, you're unmuted. I do not hear
Okay.
the beeping. So is that the verse? Is that the correct verse? Have we found it?
Yep. That's the chapter. It's not a verse. It's a whole chapter about him. But go ahead and read it.
Awesome. Awesome.
Okay.
Okay.
In that particular verse, I would absolutely argue this couldn't possibly be a prophecy about anything. This is not talking about anything that's going to happen. It's not saying this will occur. It is a lamentation
That's
of somebody expressing to God, why in this hour of my need have you not reached out to me and satiated my suffering? There's nothing in that verse, unless there's a different verse that I'm supposed to be looking at.
no, no,
Yeah.
no. So that's the point. Is on the cross, Jesus said, my God, why have you forsaken me?" He was alluding to
Sure.
that chapter, not verse. So if you read
Right,
the
but
whole
how?
chapter, you'll understand what he's going through, right? And it talks about piercing his hands and his feet. It talks about
Okay, hang
giving
on,
up
hang
his
on, hang on,
clothes,
hang on. You're
casting
jumping
lots.
through a
Yeah.
lot of different things, and it's
Yeah.
totally unnecessary.
Yeah.
Because if I say to you, Rick, let's say this, I'm gonna give you two statements here, and you tell me which one sounds more like a prophecy, okay? Like if I say, "Hey, Rick, I have a red glass that I often drink lemonade out of, and I shattered it yesterday, and I'm really sad." Now that's the first statement. Now here's the second statement. I will shatter a red glass that I often drink lemonade out of in the near future, and I will be sad about it. Which one of those do you feel like is more of a prophecy?
Well, I mean the second one, but like you said, it's
Yeah,
a self-fulfilling
right.
prophecy, right?
Right. In the first one, it's just a statement. It's just somebody expressing like, "Hey, this is what's going on right now," as is this verse. It's not talking about anything to happen in the future. It's just somebody crying out to God because they've had a bad time recently, and they're
Yeah.
asking God, "Why haven't you come to help me?"
Yeah, in that verse, right? But that's what I'm saying. If you read the whole chapter, obviously you don't want to get into the whole chapter, right? And I know you guys are constrained for time. So really my more valid point about the prophecies is it's not so much the prophetic prophecies in the Bible that predict stuff, although I could go into a few things that it said, but it's more about the prophetic prophecies that are in every single story. Every story in the Bible alludes to Jesus some way, somehow, right? That's why it
Says
all points
you.
to him.
Says you.
Says me.
I mean,
How does it says
says
me?
you.
Go ahead and give me a
Yeah.
story. Go ahead, say any story. It's not
Noah.
says me. It's Jesus'
Noah.
life and character. Go
The
ahead and pick a
story of
story.
Noah. The
Noah?
Story
story
of
of
Noah. There you
Noah.
go. Good one.
Yeah. What
Exactly.
you
So
got
the
for us? How does it
redemption,
talk about
the
Jesus?
cleansing of sin with water, right? And that's what Jesus came to do, right? He came to
Okay.
cleanse the world of sin,
With
redemption
water?
through
Water,
his
though?
Cleanse
blood.
the
which
world
is-
with
Yeah,
water?
When did Jesus take a
with
pair
the
of
Holy
every
Spirit.
kind of
Jesus said that,
animal?
right?
The
What,
Holy
what do you
Spirit or
baptize
water?
with for the redemption
Is
of
it
sin? What do you baptize with for the redemption of sin? What do Christians baptize with,
So do you
the
have to
Holy
be
Spirit?
baptized? Do you
right?
have to be baptized to have your sins redeemed?
Yeah, I
That's a
thought you just had
really
to
interesting
believe.
Well, not
question. Yeah.
necessarily.
Yeah.
No, it's
Okay.
metaphorical. It's a metaphorical ritual, right? The
Rick,
baptism with
real,
water to cleanse
yeah,
yourself.
Rick, real quick question. The gospel writers, right? They had access to the earlier books of the Hebrew Bible, right? Or it wasn't
Yeah.
discovered after they wrote the Bible, right?
No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So when they were writing their Bible, they're like, "Oh, there's all this great stuff in here. Let me tie things together to show they could have, if they wanted to. Let's just say this is my earliest bit of counter apologetics from when I was a kid. And I'm still not over it. All right. And some people are like, that's bullshit. It's not bullshit. This is I never got past this. And maybe you'll be the person that turns the tide. Please. But when they were writing the Bible, they're like, okay, we got this. We got pierced hands. We got Messiah. We got this. We got that. When we write our story, let's make sure we sprinkle it with references to the earlier books, and then we can show that this guy that we love, this Christ man, is actually the result of some fulfillment of prophecy. An example of that might be when the king Ringwraith, the main Ringwraith in Lord of the Rings, can be killed by no man, and then Éowyn, Shield Maiden of Rohan, takes off her helmet and says, "I am no man," and then stabs him in the face.
That's a good part.
It's a great part. I love it. Come on. And but when you're Tolkien and you're writing that stuff, you can kind of set up that stuff. That's what fun writing is. Like you set up it. It's like a setup and a punchline. You're delivering the goods. You're teeing up the T-ball and you're knocking it out of the park. But it truly is teeing it up on a tee. It's not hard when you're Arthur Conan Doyle to solve your own mysteries, you know, and that's kind of where I'm at with this. Your prophecies, that one, give me something else. Give me like and don't give me wars and rumors of wars. Yeah, address what I said, please.
Yeah. So, okay. So as far as a self-fulfilling prophecy, I see what you're saying, and that is how things work, right? People can fulfill it. But in order for people to fulfill that, they'd have to be highly intellectual, and there was a lot of people, because it's a lot of prophecies to fulfill, and it's very in-depth. Not saying it's impossible, so I grant you that.
Oh, I'm not saying they're dumb. I'm saying these are smart people. I'm not saying that the gospel writers, the gospel writers who actually wrote it, are no bobos. These are smart cats who could write at a time when people were like, you know, wiping and eating with the same hand. So these were smarty pantses, okay? So what?
Yeah. So the most telling one is if you look at the Last Supper, right? The Last Supper, most Christians have no idea what the Last Supper means because we only have a story of a supper. But go watch Christ in the Passover. The Jewish tradition was fulfilled through Jesus, and it's amazing what they take a piece of unleavened bread, it's striped, it's pierced, they take it and break it in three. They hide the middle. The middle comes back at the end of dinner. They break it into pieces. That was the piece that Jesus took and said, "This is me," right? The blood, the third cup that he took after they supped, after they ate, it's called the cup of redemption. He picked it up and he said, "This is my blood." The Jewish people don't.
Okay.
Go ahead, Johnny.
Well, again, did the gospel writers have access to Jewish tradition when they wrote the story of the Last Supper?
Weren't all of these people Jewish as well? Like, wasn't that kind of the big deal? Like,
there's a lot of Jews in the Bible, and they had access to yeah. Okay, so they're like, you know what?
Of evidence, right? So why wouldn't they put that in the
How is that
evidence? A pathetic piece of evidence in the entire book of the Bible to prove Jesus is who they say.
Rick, we've walked around to such a confusing point to me. Didn't we have this earlier where you and I talked about what sounds kind of like a prophecy, and it's the thing that kind of says this is going to happen in the future, not just a description of what happens today? What in the Last Supper is like a in the future this is going to happen? Because without like that caveat, how is it ever considered a prophecy? Like if I said 20 years ago this happened, that's definitely not a prophecy. If I say this morning I stubbed my toe, that's not a prophecy. It's not until we go towards the future, right?
Yeah.
Am I off?
Yeah.
No, I see what you're saying, right? And I see where your argument is. But the last thing to address Johnny's point there is sorry. Well,
no.
Sorry, my brain just kind of shut down.
It happens to me constantly.
So Jesus, we know, right? I know you guys kind of deny the fact that Jesus existed, but I mean,
I don't deny that. Hang on there, Rick. You're muted now. Now you're muted because you're talking too fast, my friend. I don't deny that Jesus existed, but I don't. Let me put it this way: there may have been some cat named Jesus kicking up dirt in Judea, wandering around, talking to people, making a bunch of claims about not thinking about birds, not planning for tomorrow and looking at birds, and all that stuff. There may have been a person, but that lunatic liar lord trilemma is not really. I don't buy into it. I think someone once said like there's a legend. Okay, I believe that there probably was some dude, I don't really care, named Jesus, and people started telling tall tales of all of his awesome doings. And one of them is turning a bunch of fishes and loaves into a whole shitload of fishes and loaves. That doesn't mean that he did. It just means that the story exists. Um, and it's like Abraham Lincoln, was a president and he lived in a log cabin and then he was real strong and he'd wrestle people. There's all kinds of legends about Abe Lincoln. Abe Lincoln existed, but he probably didn't, I don't know, like wrestle an ox to the ground. And not that is necessarily one of the legends, but we can start that one today. And in 500 years, Rick, we can see if we're combating truthers that Abe Lincoln was an X-Man. But anyway, go on.
Abe
I
Lincoln didn't
digress.
wrestle an ox to
Yeah.
the ground, Johnny, but Paul Bunyan definitely did. So that's just history
so did
facts,
Khabib.
folks.
but you see what I'm saying, Rick? Like,
no,
So go on. Sorry, we talked enough.
So the consensus, though, is that the Gospels, these are professionals. This is what they do their whole life. These historians and scholars, they call the Gospels eyewitness testimonies, and they don't do that just for fun. They do that because they've used the techniques through their career to determine that they are.
There's a lot of
hang on, Rick.
There's a lot of theys out there.
Yeah, I believe me, I am no biblical scholar. I am definitely not with a PhD in the Gospels, right? The New Testament and stuff. I remember very clearly as a young lad, just starting both his secular and rarity life, reading in the front of the Bible, and then at every single book thereon, that these are just the authors that are attributed to the books. We don't believe these people actually wrote them. Like, I have not heard of a reputable scholar in biblical history or any field thereof that is actually saying Mark wrote Mark. Like that, they are not eyewitnesses, not in the slightest.
Was somebody in the garden with Jesus alone while they fell asleep in Gethsemane? Was there like?
And who was there at day one?
Yeah,
when God did the whole light and the darkness and the separation of the waters, who was watching that? And how did Moses write about his own death?
Yeah,
what a strange. They're definitely not eyewitness accounts in the Gospels. We are very, very confident on that.
Yeah, I think that maybe, Rick, you are listening or reading from scholars who are making those claims, but I would encourage you perhaps to find scholars who examine the same source material as you're interested in from a different perspective and follow them down their path for a while. Take notes and then make note of where they differ in their analysis from those who say that the Bible was written by eyewitness, and Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and their friends. I would recommend that.
And you will find a lot of really good scholarship done by very avowed, professing, believing Christians. I know a couple off the top of my head, like James Tabor or Dale Allison. I think David Litwa. Like there really are just dozens and dozens and dozens of people. And for them, the idea that Mark being written like at the time, like, first off, it's a little silly to think that there was somebody walking around with a pad and pen, right? Like nobody, they didn't have notepads, right? So nobody was just like walking around like writing down what Jesus said. But for scholars like this, those not being eyewitness accounts doesn't change their belief. Yeah. I may argue that maybe it should put it on more shaky ground, but it isn't a thing for them for various reasons. But it is, I think it's really worthwhile knowing what the scholarship actually is on this, and the types of things we have like dug up, you know, in the ground and like cross-referenced with other things. And I mean, we got a lot of stuff, but it all kind of seems to point towards like not exactly concurrent
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, and with that said, I want to bring it back. I think we're gonna move on, Rick. But I do want to have a little one more exchange with you. You gave us two so-called prophecies, two of your favorite prophecies, and both of them were internal, if I may use the term. The Old Testament referred to the New Testament. All right, that's all fine and dandy, but that's not going to do it. Now, maybe our first caller would say we're just not open, or we're not accepting the truth, or we're not accepting the evidence. That might be the case.
We're not intelligent enough, Johnny. That's
well, I know I'm not. But Rick, if you've got another one, I want to hear something that isn't self-referential in the Bible. Give me one of those. I like to think of them as wars and rumors of wars. One. I was walking my dog yesterday, and I was thinking I'm going to be on Talk Heathen tomorrow, and I'm going to be there with secularity. What kind of calls do I want? It's my real accent, and I was thinking prophecy, and apparently so was secularity at the same
that's
time.
prophetic.
Jesus is real, and so I really want the prophecy. So give me one. Give me like a Nostradamus type of one that you think is super awesome, that doesn't refer from the Old Testament to the New Testament, something external. Could you do that?
Yeah, I got a great one for you. But I just want really quickly. I just want to say that Jesus picked people who were writers. We know Matthew for sure wrote and spoke in at least three different languages. So to say that people weren't writing down what he said is just not factual or evidence-based at all. As well, Richard Dawkins himself says the consensus of historians he spoke with all agreed Jesus lived and died. And that's because the professionals and
Richard Dawkins?
Yeah,
I don't think he has anything to do with biblical history. But
wait.
Go to the prophecy.
Well, hang on. Squawky Docky can go shut the fuck up. I don't care what he has to say.
Yeah.
All right? He's not my pope.
Yeah.
He's not my pope. All right? But, you know, smart biologist, decent writer, stay in your lane. But anyway, you were saying?
Yeah. Give us that prophecy, Rick.
Give us Give it to us warm.
So you say the wars and rumors of wars, right? So when Jesus is predicting the end, so a lot of people, there's wars, and there's all these things that we've seen repeat through history. But Jesus says one thing that's different. He says, when this gospel, he even says, don't worry, all these things must come to pass. But when this gospel of the kingdom is preached all across the world, then you know the end has come. Then, and ironic, he knew it was going to cross the whole globe, and he says that's the only difference in history is we've now seen this happen. He says Christians will be persecuted. Christians are the number one persecuted group on the earth. You can Google it.
Yeah.
And lastly,
What?
Yeah, you
Hold up, bro.
I laugh.
Yeah,
I laugh hard.
Too.
Yeah.
Also, like, are you saying that the prophecy was that the world would end when Christianity was taught to the whole world? Is that what you're saying the prophecy is? I just want to make sure I understand.
So he's giving all the things that are going to happen. And then he says, when this gospel has reached the whole world, then it has begun. But how he describes it, he says, when the abomination that causes desolation enters the holy place.
Stop, Rick.
What's
Stop,
the
Rick.
holy place?
Because, Rick, stop. Because it sounded like you were trying to answer with a yes or no and then just refuse to address it. So let's try it again. I'm going to ask it one more time. Are you saying that right there, the prophecy that is being prophesied with its prophetic nature, are you saying that that is the world will end in this specific way once this message has been preached to the whole world? Is that what you're saying the prophecy is? That should be a simple yes or no.
Well, yes, but not that the world will end, that the Antichrist will rise. It will begin, right?
Okay.
He says that. It has begun.
Okay.
He doesn't say it ends.
So are you saying that the whole world has been preached the gospel message? Or are you saying we're still waiting to see if the world ends when the whole world gets preached this message?
I think it's fair to say that it's reached all the corners of the earth at this point, or very, very close.
Now
Yeah.
that's interesting. Well, hang on. Does
Yeah.
it have to be very, very close? Is it 99% or is it 100%? It sounds like it's 100%
Well,
to
at this
me.
state, at this, do you mean the prophecy or do you mean is it
Yeah,
there
the
yet? I'm
prophecy
not sure what
sounds
you're
like it's
asking.
100%.
Yeah.
Prophecy says like
100%.
everybody got to hear
Yeah,
it.
I would say.
Yeah.
I would say he says once this gospel of the kingdom has been preached all across the world, then the end
Yeah.
has begun. So yeah, I would
Okay.
assume at least all across. I don't know what he means by that. Perhaps every single place or all across the globe. I don't know
So
what
we're
he's
still
saying there
kind of
necessarily,
waiting on
but he's
that
pretty
one.
Yeah. Yeah,
We
Rick, we're
still,
waiting. Yeah.
yeah, we don't have that one fulfilled yet, right? I mean, it doesn't seem like the
The
Antichrist is
gospel's not preached
around.
all
Or
across the world.
Well, the
no,
world.
Gospel's not
Yeah.
preached all across the world today.
no, the gospel is definitely not preached all over the world. I'm very confident about that.
Yeah.
Where is it missing? Who's missing the
The
gospel?
Amazon forest, as well as a handful of different forests over in like southern India in the ocean, as well as like Papua New Guinea and other
Yeah, there's
Pacific
places.
islands, like literally just dozens and dozens of places.
But
I mean,
but
there's
but also,
missionaries
but
going to
Rick,
every
real
single place
quick,
in the world. That's
Rick,
not
Rick,
true.
Rick.
not
I
true.
think the point is, I think that there's two ways you can go about it, and either way you lose. All right. If the gospel, okay, God bless America. There's so many ways to talk about this one. Okay, so first of all, if it hasn't reached everywhere, then it's not a fulfilled prophecy, right? And if secularity is right, and there's some folks down there swatting, doing their life down there in the Amazon or Papua New Guinea and different remote places, then I guess the evangelists are going to have to go down there and disturb those poor people who are just trying to have a decent life with God's word. But it's not fulfilled, so we can't count that as 100% completion rate. If it's mostly complete, and I would argue probably it's mostly complete, and I doubt God is going to wait until every last human being, according to this God character, is going to do that. Before the end times begin, when will it start? You say that the end times will begin. Well, is it a rapid rollout? Is it like a few things happen? People have been saying that the end times are nigh for 2,000 plus years. They've been doing it, Rick. They've been I think there's a passage in the Bible, probably SR knows it, where Jesus says that there will be some of you who are still alive when I come again, or some jazz like that.
Paul, I think.
Yeah, there you go.
It's one of the letters
And
of Paul.
spoiler alert, those people are probably all dead unless they got magicked. They got magicked and they're living. It's like a temporal prime directive kind of thing. They're hiding out. They don't want to ruin, the rest of our society. So they're actually living in caves. Everyone that was in the Bible, every human that was in the Bible, not God men, are dead, right? And the end times have not happened unless this is the afterlife, in which case, what a ripoff. So, I lost my train of thought because there's too many paths to travel here.
Yeah.
That's not a good one, Rick. I tell you what, I do appreciate it. You probably have a lot to say, but I'm not going to let you do it this time. You can share your thoughts in chat. You can send us emails at tv@atheist-community.org. But even better than that, Rick, you can call back next week and pick up this conversation with another host. Because I'm not buying it. And Rarity, what Rarity?
Mr. Rarity to you,
Mr.
sir.
Rarity, Sergeant First Class. What is your final thought on that one? And then we're going to go on to our next phase.
And once again, man, I mean, maybe it's prophetic, maybe not, but yeah, again, we're on the same page. I think with prophecies, one of the biggest things is the specificity. It has to be specific, and it has to be not only specific, but it also has to be something that it isn't obvious that other people are working towards, right?
Yeah.
There's that, Dillahuzza something, that guy, he's talked about this before. I've heard him where he says, if I order a steak at a restaurant and then they bring me the steak, that's not a prophecy because they're clearly actively working towards it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I'm not, I'm still unconvinced, Johnny.
I need more.
You need more.
I need more callers. Give me your prophecies. I'm like a heel in wrestling. Your prophecies fuel me. I draw strength from your prophecies, and I want to hear some interesting ones. The 7-day week is not going to be that one. I can promise you that.